Hey everybody, welcome back to my kitchen. Um, yeah, so I was looking at some of your questions from last week or the previous week before break, and some people were wondering what water had to do with the pepper spreading out. What's that got to do with it? Maybe why does the pepper float on the water? And then what in oil does that have to do with it sinking? That we had the needle sinking in the oil all the time, and the needle stays afloat in the water. What are the differences between oil and water? And so, what we need for today's experiment is we have some water. So I have a cup of water here, and I have some oil. Okay, so I have some just plain oil. If you have, I just use canola oil, but you can use any kind of oil, should be all right. And you're gonna need what I think works best is if you take a paper cup. So if you have a paper cup and a toothpick, and you poke the hole, so a hole in the bottom of the cup. So you have something like that. I don't know if you can see that, and do that for both the oil and so I have a hole in the bottom of this cup as well. What you really want is some way to make a really thin stream of each liquid coming out. So if you don't have that available, for water you can turn on the faucet, so it's a really tiny thin stream that should work okay. For oil, obviously you can't get that out of the faucet, but if you have a spouted um, container, like a measuring cup, and you pour a really thin stream, that also might work. But so that's what you want. You get a thin stream, and you also need something to generate some sort of static charge. So I have a balloon here. If you have a balloon, that's great. Then you can use that and make sure you can generate some static charge. Sometimes a plastic comb might also work, but balloon I find works a little bit better. So what you want to do is we're going to take a look and see like what are some of the things we notice when we have a thin stream and we bring a static charge up to these streams. So I'm going to take I'll take the water. So I'm going to go ahead in a cup here, and I'm going to pour some water into the cup. Okay, so we have a thin stream here. And I'm going to take the balloon. You make sure you have some static electricity, so just rub it on your head. Make sure your head's nice and dry. And what do you notice when I bring the static charge up to the water? Okay, so if you can see that. There you go. So if you see here, what is going on with the water when I bring it up to, okay? So hopefully you can see that happening. And we're going to take that and now compare it to what happens with the oil. So when I have the oil here, I'm going to go ahead, pour some oil into this cup. A thin stream here. I'm going to try to get the stream so you can see it. I take the oil and move it to the stream. And what do you notice how the stream behaves with the oil compared to the water? Do I notice as much of an effect on the oil as I do with the water? So that's your experiment at home, kind of thinking about what's going on between like what's happening with the atoms and molecules of each of these liquids. And on Google Classroom, I will have some questions, some follow-up questions about, like some people were asking, well, what makes up oil? What's the formula for oil? What kinds of atoms are in there? What are some of the things we notice about water and how those are different? So go and Google Classroom, try this at home, take some pictures, send them to me if you can, and I will be back for the next lesson.